Alright folks, today I'm here once again to give you my thoughts on the newest episode of Dead City. Why did the mainlanders cross the river? Now, I gotta say, I really did enjoy this episode. Probably on par with episode 2, if not a little bit more. One thing I've really been happy about so far this season is the set design, and I think they absolutely nailed the wilds of Central Park. But I've gotta say, it's really weird we heard all sorts of animals in the woods but didn't see anything. We're told there are monkeys and all sorts of escaped zoo animals in there, but that's as far as it went. We know there's gonna be a bear eventually, but in terms of immersion, that really took me out. There are a couple other things in general that have been bothering me that aren't exclusive to this episode. For one, where the hell is the Mega Horde? We were shown in Season 1 a herd of 1 million plus walkers patrolling the streets, so dangerous that the people of Manhattan had to maneuver between buildings on zipline, yet it's literally nowhere to be seen this season. And second, New Babylon's mission in general. I was under the impression they were traveling to Manhattan to learn how the Croat creates the methane so they could produce it themselves, but that doesn't sound like the case at all. They're literally here to just take barrels of it, which I find so stupid. Like Maggie mentioned, 50 people had already died for this mission. They lost their transportation and the majority of their manpower, yet Lucia over here is still determined to get the methane. Their federation is huge, so what the hell is a few barrels of this stuff gonna do in the long run? In my opinion, it would have made more sense for them to be there to locate blueprints or something to learn how to produce it. But besides these oddities, there's very little I haven't enjoyed so far. Herschel Jr. this episode really came into his own and has quickly become one of the most interesting characters this season. It was pretty apparent last episode he lit the signal fire, but what I missed was the material he used to patch up one of the soldiers being the same material burned, which just straight up confirmed it was him, and Maggie knew it as well. We got a bunch of flashbacks throughout the episode of Herschel's time under the Dama's watch, where it becomes apparent she actually does have influence over Herschel, but it's clear it's the city he cares about more than anything. Herschel never knew the old world, so to him, the ruins are something beautiful and are the perfect canvas to create something new and better, which is what we see him envisioning through his drawings across the episode. He sees himself in Manhattan as he too feels left behind by the world, which I absolutely love and think really adds depth to his character. But one of the most intriguing lines to come from Herschel, in my opinion, came towards the end of the episode when discussing Negan with Maggie, where he essentially tells her he doesn't hate Negan for what he did back in the day the same way she does, but hates him for the pain he's caused her over the following years. Which totally makes sense, as like he says, he wasn't even born when Glenn died and doesn't feel that same type of rage, but he's had to watch Maggie suffer from it his whole life. Herschel is a character that deserves to be focused on, and although it's clear he has been in cahoots with the Dama, I still don't think he would ever put his mom or Ginny in harm's way. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see what exactly it was the Dama had Herschel do at the Bricks. His dynamic with that park girl this episode showed he does have love in his heart for others, and can see the beauty in decay, so I still think he secretly does have his family's best interests in mind, but wants to fulfill his vision for Manhattan with or without the Dama. Regardless of his motives, I can't wait to see where Herschel goes this season. But picking up with New Babylon from last episode, I don't know how I missed this, but apparently Governor Bird straight up died during the attack, which I find so weird. She was set up to seem like New Babylon's driving force in the Season 1 finale, only to basically be discarded for Lucia, who is a much more frustrating character. She talks of needing to do this mission for the sake of the New Babylon population, yet simultaneously threatens to hang basically everyone who opposes her. So far, her plan seems pretty illogical and pointless in the grand scheme of things, and has already gotten so many people killed, but she simply doesn't give a shit, so I really don't get what her motives are. All these lives lost for a few barrels of methane, they don't even have a way to get back to the mainland anymore. But again, besides the lack of visible wildlife, I thought the portrayal of Central Park was really cool. It instantly felt dangerous with how a soldier was lost immediately, and I absolutely loved that Lost World Jurassic Park reference in the field with the walkers dragging the soldiers away akin to the raptors. There's no way this wasn't a reference to that movie given the way it was filmed. Usually I'd be mad at a bunch of soldiers instantly scrambling at the sight of a few walkers, but the show went out of its way to re-establish most of them were conscripts who either didn't want to fight or had very little experience doing so. I did really like what they were going for with the park people as well. They weren't really anything more than they needed to be. They lived off the land and used the dead as protection to prevent others from entering the park. But that ending scene with the heart was so wild and random, which I kind of loved. It's been a while since The Walking Dead has been that outwardly gory, and I love how this ritual was foreshadowed in the walkers throughout the episode. I also found the scene of the girl turning oddly disturbing. I'm not even entirely sure why, but after so many years, I can't believe I felt a sense of dread as she slowly came back. I don't really get the whole letting the dead consume the heart thing, but I think it would have been even sicker to see the girl eat her own heart after turning. I don't even know if a walker would ever eat a part of themselves, but I think it would have been cool to find out, so I felt like that was a bit of a missed opportunity. However, thankfully, I found Pearly a lot more likable this episode compared to the last. Here, he's maintaining his belief in their laws with Maggie while condemning Lucia for trying to overthrow the park people and take over their home to act as an outpost after they helped them, which I feel is more in line with his portrayal in Season 1 compared to his selfish acts in leading the soldiers into an ambush last episode. But as always, every moment with the Croat is just gold. I really like that first scene at the beginning where he confronts Negan on why he allowed the escape boat to get away. The reason, of course, being his affection for kids, as he recalls that being where Negan drew the line. Which is still complete BS, as Carl would know, but brought us an interaction where he pretends to be understanding and caring towards Negan's feelings, only to let him know his buddy here will do the dirty work for him if they find the kid before laughing in his face. Which in itself isn't really funny, but for some reason made me think of that one scene from Rick and Morty where the bug guy is rounding a bunch of civilians up and says, "Sorry, I'm just doing my job," and loving it. I don't know, I'm definitely the only person who thought of this. But regardless, there weren't many new revelations with Negan this episode that haven't already been covered in the previous chapters. He pretty much just continued to play his role of balancing both sides while getting a chance to save Herschel from one of the Croat's goons. Which honestly is totally fine, as the real focus this episode was on Herschel over anyone. But for the most part, those have been my thoughts on episode 3. A really solid installment, only brought down by some of the New Babylon silliness that has been present the entire season. I am fully invested in Herschel's story, and I'm so glad they've been able to go down a direction with him that doesn't constantly pit him against Negan. He has his own wants and motivations in life, and I am so intrigued with his vision of Manhattan's future. So I'm really hoping he continues developing in this manner and actually gets a chance to build the city into something new. If I were to rate this episode, I think I'd give it another 8 out of 10. For me, it's pretty much on par with episode 2, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this installment in the comments down below. So far for me, this season has been far more enjoyable than season 1 or Daryl Dixon, which I'm very happy to be able to say. But that is gonna do it for me today, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching.